1 minute you're fine, then boom, it feels like your body is staging a rebellion. If you know, you know. If you don't, welcome to the reality of an endo flare-up. Let's talk about what a flare-up is, the triggers, my coping mechanisms, and how I survive this chaos. Let me be clear, this video won't give you a conclusive list of what causes flare-ups. What triggers mine may not trigger yours. If you have something different that triggers your flares, different from what I'll mention, please comment what they are below. I'm sure it will help someone else in their journey. So let's start with what a flare-up is. A flare-up is a period of more intensive pain and discomfort. This is different from what you feel when you're on your period. Basically, a period heightened with endometriosis symptoms. That's what a flare-up is. It's also called an endo attack. You can see why based on the definition. Since I was diagnosed, I have realized that endometriosis flare-ups are like a game of peekaboo. You don't know when it will pop up and say hi, carrying discomfort and pain, and you don't know when you'll get relief. They can be harder to track, thus making us have a lower quality of life. Flare-ups are different from individual to individual. The amount of pain and intensity are going to look different for some people. Several factors can increase and trigger inflammation in the body, resulting in flare-ups. I don't know about you, but some of the things that trigger my endo flare-ups are: number 1, coffee. Yes, coffee. I was a lover of coffee back when I was living in Jamaica. It was a bit hard for me letting go of coffee, but I did realize that when I switched to decaf, which still gives me flavored coffee and the tastes of the different flavors that I liked the switch. And I realized, hey, I'm okay without coffee in my life. Number 2, alcohol triggers my endo flare-ups. So after stopping drinking alcohol, I came to realize that, hey, I didn't really need it before. I often wonder if because the culture of Jamaica surrounds alcohol and partying, why I liked drinking before. Cutting down my intake feels normal now. If I do go out or find myself in situations that require drinking, for example, Bonninkais, mocktails are my go-to. Who's gonna know? They look like alcoholic beverages, don't they? I don't know if any of these things trigger your flare-ups, but let me know. Number 3, being too cold. Yes, I said it, being too cold. Now, I live in Japan, and I did choose to live in one of the warmer prefectures, but it still does get really cold here. And when I found out that heat therapy helps a lot, I fell in love with anything that warms me up. Whether it's in the winter, the fall, the summer, believe it or not, the spring, any time of the year, once I'm having a flare-up or I feel one coming on, I go to warm myself up. Here in Japan, onsens are very popular, so I utilize those. At home, I try to take hot baths. I use my hot water bottle at the slightest inconvenience, or as soon as I feel like a flare-up is coming along. My heated blanket is also a close friend of mine when it's snuggle time. Just any type of heat therapy that soothes my flare-ups, I will go for. Next trigger, stress. S-T-R-E-S-S, that big word. The body is so in tune to what's happening in your brain, in your heart, and in your soul. The body will say, we are not having it, and then flares up. We have to be more careful with stress and try to reduce it as best as possible. The next thing that triggers me, specific exercises, like that open leg exercise machine, that one, it triggers my endometriosis. Highly inflammatory food, that triggers me too. So I upped my intake of things like fish and chicken to reduce the inflammatory food in my diet. Salmon is my favorite because it's packed with omega-3s. You can see that there. Again, each one of us's bodies would react differently. So if you are going to change your diet, please speak to a nutritionist as well as speak to your gynecologist about this, just like I did. But yeah, looking into a nutrition change could help manage your flare-ups, as it did for me. Another trigger. Flare-ups often come before your period comes. Many diagnosed people I have spoken to explain that they experience flare-ups around the time of their periods. I used to experience premenstrual cycle pains similar to flare-ups prior to being diagnosed. So maybe I have been one of the victims too. Even though now I'm on a treatment and I no longer have a period, I still get endo flare-ups sometimes around the time that my period should come. For example, now, that's why I'm drinking raspberry leaf tea, because I'm feeling it and my period would have come around this time. This exact example is why people in society believe that endometriosis is a period disease. It isn't. As this doctor explains, this is what endometriosis is in its entirety. The next trigger, sexual intercourse. It's said that a flare-up happens during and after sexual intercourse itself. It raises a lot of animosity towards the act itself for many Endo women. It is important to speak to your partner about your diagnosis. It is important to speak to your partner about how you're feeling before, during, and even after the act itself. This conversation will also help to reduce your stress levels, as many of us do worry about this kind of news and how our partners will take it. So it is a big stress factor for many of us endometriosis women. So talk to your partners. And I do hope that your partners are empathetic towards the situation and will give you grace. Another thing that triggers my flare-ups is tight clothing. Yes, tight clothing. I say no to tight underwear, no to tight belts, anything tight around my abdomen. It's just not comfortable. I also say no to tight and uncomfortable shoes, uncomfortable hairstyles. I already have an uncomfortable battle going on inside me. I'm not willingly choosing to be uncomfortable on the outside as well. So let me know what your clothing choice is in the comments and if you experience any of these. Now guys, be very mindful. Recognizing your own symptoms and what exactly causes these flares is a key part of being an endo warrior and surviving this chaotic disease. Yes, you have to live your life, but knowing what triggers your endo flares will help you in life. So for me, coping, I carry endo necessities. There's a video on what my necessities are everywhere with me, just in case a flare-up happens and it says, hey, nice to meet you again. And then I know that I have to deal with it, especially if I'm not at home. But due to the fact that I'm battling the anxiousness of what if one comes along, I often stay home. But when I do go out, I bring my necessities with me. I hope this video have been helpful to any of you that are watching. Drop your comments below and let us help each other out and talk about this chaotic thing that we're going through. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, share, and leave your comments.